Great. So yeah, so Ruth is just a wonderful person, determined person, consistent, and she's been on the front line of abortion, turning it around. And I'll let her do her own intro and give us more details and insight into everything that's been taking place. I'm not sure if everybody here remembers, Ruth came on the Big Convo some time ago now. And yeah, it was an explosive discussion. I still remember it. So yeah, Ruth, over to you. And yeah, give me a shout whenever you want me to change the slide or anything.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. It really is a privilege to be here with you all. Recognize most of the names here. So yeah, hi everyone. And I just want to honor your leader, Fred. I was just reflecting about when the first time I met him was when we were doing a big display, our 50 years of exposing 50 years of abortion out on Parliament Square. And one of our volunteers came running up and he was like, "Oh, you got to meet this guy. You got to meet this guy." And at the time I was on media. So I was kind of running here to do an ITV interview. I was trying to organize our own media, and Fred came along and he went straight in, as you guys probably can imagine, talking about the kingdom and the ecclesia. And I was just like, wow. I said, "I'm really, really sorry, but I have to go." And yeah, so that was our first meeting, and I'm sure I think Fred remembers and reminded me of it. But I thank God that he wasn't offended and that we connected afterwards via email. And yeah, since that time, he has sacrificially poured into our work. I think it was over the period of about 2 years, just Tuesday evening conversations with myself and Ivana, helping us with our website, digital communications, and even beyond that, Kingdom of God stuff. And yeah, so I just want to thank him publicly and honor him, and likewise he's open platforms for me and my colleagues as well. And yeah, I can honestly say that our organization is better because of his input.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah, thank you. So
can I just quickly say as well for everybody, so whilst Ruth is presenting, you might have some thoughts or questions. So feel free to note it down, and Fred will be capturing those questions, and then we'll take it at the end. Yep. Okay, carry on.
Okay, wonderful. So yes, I will be talking about one of our campaigns that was challenging an MP, Stella Creasy. Some of you will have been aware of it. But before I go into that, a little bit about myself. You can go to the next slide. So I was born in a Christian home, and I thank God for being raised to see faith in action, to see prayer in action. And although I did backslide from it, thinking the grass was greener on the other side, during which time I was blessed with a beautiful daughter. Despite all that, my daughter is a gift, and I thank God for her. And also the issue of abortion, when it was first laid on my heart, it was very much linked in with the fact that the church was silent on it. So the burden was for all these babies are being killed, but what is the church doing? It was hand in hand, calling and burden laid on my heart. And I realized that Christian Concern, who somehow I signed up to their mailing list, were running something called the Wilberforce Academy, and they were going to be addressing this issue of abortion. So I went along, and it was there that I saw an abortion procedure for the first time. And I literally went from, I probably should do something about this, to do nothing is no longer an option. Now I've seen with my eyes the suffering that's happening, 800 times every working day in this nation. I can't remain silent. And so then I was hooked up with Centre for Bioethical Reform UK, CBR UK for short, back in 2013. And it's just been a battle and a privilege working with them. They're an amazing team. Most of them love the Lord, and this is their service and worship unto him. So yeah, that's me. And when I was asked, to speak on when I was given this topic, challenging principalities and powers, I thought, wow, what a title. And I immediately thought about Ephesians 6. We do not fight against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. And I've got this image up of the armor of God up on my wall at work. And you may be wondering, who's this man in RAF uniform? That's my grandfather. So I've got these two images up on my wall at work, and they remind me that we are in a battle. We're all in a battle. That they particularly remind me that yes, this is a battle, and we're battling against the kingdom of darkness. But thank the Lord, we God, our Father God, and Jesus Christ is obviously the creator of all things and more powerful than anything the enemy can throw at us. And so, today I'm going to be sharing about the Stop Stella campaign. So, when I read that scripture, I was like, oh, yeah, that is what we did. We did challenge principalities and powers. Sometimes we can think of that scripture as if it's, just about prayer, as if it's about prayer, like walking around a building. So spiritual warfare could be praying around a building, and that's very much part of it. But we are called to challenge anything that sets itself up against the knowledge of God. And so I'm going to share about the Stop Stella campaign, where we targeted this MP, we challenged this MP, Stella Creasy. And I just want to talk about firstly, why did we target her? Why target MP Stella Creasy? Then a little bit about how we did it, and just share about what was the response. So, as many of you will know, we expose abortion. Us at CBR UK, our purpose is to see the right to life of the unborn child protected, and to see abortion made unthinkable. And we do that by basically educating society on the humanity and the value of the unborn child, and exposing the reality of abortion whilst supporting those who have been affected by it. And so our CEO, Andy, was really, he gathered us together, and he said, we really need to make an example of those who are kind of figureheads to abortion, because while we've been exposing abortion generally, he gave us, as an organization, we've done a lot of study into the history of social reform and what we can learn from it. And so he'd been studying King Leopold's ghost, which you'll see on the next slide. And this is King Leopold. And basically I don't know how many of you are familiar with the atrocities that happened in the Congo. We all know about, what Hitler did with the Jews, but this genocide is not so well known at all. And basically this, King Leopold, it was done in the name of philanthropy. It was at the time where slavery was being abolished, and there was a scramble for the nations, many of the nations in Africa, and he just had this agenda to have for power and by any means. And so, but the rest of the world, around the world, he was seen as if he was a great man, and helping the people of Congo and come out of the outside, and just how to help that nation. But really and truly, what was happening is that it was even just as bad, if not worse, than what's happening in the slave trade. And you can see this picture of this Congolese boy, and what they did is they had quotas for collecting rubber, because it was very rich in rubber. And so if they didn't make the quotas, they would do things like chop off their hands and stuff like this, and all the money, and it was all going back to King Leopold. And there was a British journalist called E.D. Morel, and he investigated and exposed Leopold and these atrocities to the wider world. And I'm not going to go into any more detail on that. I'd recommend the book if you're interested in it, King Leopold's Ghost. But he was the figurehead of this. He was behind it, and obviously there was many working on the ground in the Congo, but he was almost one of the powers behind it. And so we took upon ourselves, and Annie, encouraged us to, who are the figureheads in the abortion industry? There are many, but we were asking that question, and we were researching and just watching to see what was happening. And over the period of probably longer than a year from when we finished our previous campaign, and Stella Creasy literally, basically, she rose to the occasion. These are some of her at the time. So this is over a year ago. We're talking summer 2019, even late spring. And she was clearly she wanted to overturn sections 58 and 59 of the Offences Against the Person Act. And these sections are the sections that protect the unborn child. And so by doing this, you'll remove legal protections up to 28 weeks, which would mean that abortion would be available for any and every reason up to 28 weeks. It's currently up to 24, and babies can survive up to 22 weeks with medical help. And she, at the time, she was really pushing for Northern Ireland, and it had nearly gone through at that time. And she planned, along with others, but she really was the figurehead for this. She was planning to use a domestic abuse bill to do the same in the UK. And it's funny because a lot of people thought that it was all about Northern Ireland, because by the time we started the Stop Stella campaign, Northern Ireland had more or less gone through. And a lot of people thought it was about that, but it was also exposing the plans for the domestic abuse bill, which I'll update you on later. So that's why we targeted her, not contrary to what she was saying, that, we're targeting her because she's pregnant, we're targeting her because she's a woman, and we're somehow sexist. She threw all sorts of lies, which I'll explain a little bit more later on. But yeah, that is why, because she was, just as we, as people of God, are called to be God's mouthpiece, we're called to further his kingdom. We know that unfortunately Satan has pawns that he's using to further his agenda, and the agenda that she was furthering was Satan's agenda. It was to kill unborn children in the womb, and that's something that we as Christians must stand up against. And so we knew, we had our eyes on her now. We need to hold her to account and challenge this principality and power that was coming through Stella Creasy. And so this was all confirmed. I went and did a presentation a year and a half ago in Tottenham, and I mentioned, about what this MP was doing. And at the end, a wonderful lady came over to me, and she was really moved by the presentation. She knew abortion was wrong, but she'd never seen it, like so many of us. And she was moved, and she said that she lived in Walthamstow. She said, "Come to Walthamstow, please come and expose abortion in Walthamstow." And so that's basically how it all started. And the timing was perfect, as there was kind of brewing the possibility of an election. It was with all the Brexit upheaval. And so, we now had the person that we wanted to challenge, and we were invited by a Christian who lived in the area. And we were hooked up with a couple of pastors as well, which was wonderful. And we had the welcome of the people, not everyone, but there were people of God that welcomed and invited us there, which I think has great spiritual significance. And so moving on, I just want to share now about how we challenged her. So first of all, we started with an email. We wanted to give her the opportunity to speak. We wanted to give her the opportunity to debate with us. Fortunately, and no surprise to us, these emails were ignored. And so we responded to the invitation of the lady who invited us to Walthamstow, And we did a kind of a first display, just a low-key, quiet display in the centre of Walthamstow. They've got, actually, Walthamstow has one of the, I believe it's the biggest market, the longest market, I believe it's in Europe. So it's a great area. It's got a good square that is near the station, near the busy market. So this area where we were was right in the midst of people flowing, many people walking through for different reasons. And so this was the test, this image here was the test display during the summer of last year. And straight away we got this response from, as you can see the tweet there, from the MP herself. Furious to hear anti-choice campaigners came to Walthamstow Town Square with their horrific posters claiming to show an abortion. If anyone sees them here again, let me know and I will get police and council onto them, as such falsehoods and behaviour not welcome here. So you can see right from day one, she was trying to shut us down. She was threatening authorities onto us, and she was calling us liars, when, if you can see, this is all that we had. We had an image of an 8-week aborted embryo. So you know how that can be falsehood. Yeah, it's just a case of her lying, trying to shut down any opposing view that will challenge hers. And I normally say this at the beginning of my presentations, but just from the outset, I also want to say it's important that these images we show, they're not to condemn women, men who have been involved with abortion. Understand that, you know, some of you listening may have been involved somehow with an abortion, and see, it's not CBR UK's purpose to condemn women, but these images are used to save lives, save future lives, to educate and basically be the voice for these unborn children. And so yeah, just remember that if you've been through it, you know, reach out to us on we've got post-abortion support for everyone on our website, or obviously speak to one of your leaders as well. Just wanted to get that in there. So yeah, so this was the first display, and then if we move on to the next one, we had this initial display, and then we had to start planning the message. And it is important that we're not, you know, attacking her as a woman. We're not we had to get the message right, so a lot of work went into getting the message right. We just wanted it to be factual and just to show and expose her position and what she was fighting for in Parliament. And so you can see we came up with this message: your MP is working hard to take away my human rights. And this is a real image of a 9-week living fetus. And as well as this was on the front of our leaflet. The next image will show we also came in with our banners. As a lot of you will be aware of our work, we go into city centres and we take these banners so that the public can see, you know, and what is happening to the unborn child. And this was our message: your MP is working hard to make this a human right. Once again, that's fact. This is the reality of her policies. This is a 24-week aborted baby girl, which Stella Creasy wanted to legalise, pushing to legalise both in Northern Ireland and here in the UK. And, you know, before we went in, I just wanted to mention this as well. Before we went in with these banners, we'd planned 5 Saturdays, and so about 10 displays, one during the week and one on Saturday, over the course of about 4 weeks, 4 weeks. And but we did, when we went in, going back to that Ephesians 6 scripture where it says, you know, put on the armor and stand, and it does say, you know, and pray on all occasions with prayers and petitions. And so yeah, we do go into the cities, we go and spy out the land like Joshua and Caleb to see what the area is like, and we do very much pray on the land, because we know that as much as this is a physical battle, it is ultimately it's a spiritual battle as well. And so yeah, we did prepare the ground in that way. And yeah, we can really, and we're so thankful for all those as well that were interceding and praying when we were out there. And yeah, that cannot be left unsaid, because that's so important, as we know, in everything that we do as children of God. And so, yeah, that was the plan. Rather than tell you the story in a minute, I'm going to show you the video that shows exactly what happened, because we were hoping to have shown that previous banner over on every display. That didn't quite play out like that. But the other thing that we wanted to mix it up with as well is these billboards. And so this actually, if you can see the image there, I actually sadly didn't even get to see this in real life, because it only went up for one day before Stella Creasy, as you can see, demanded that it be taken down. And at first, the image that we wanted up was a little bit more like the previous message, saying your MP is working hard to take away my human rights. And remember, these were placed, they were going to be placed 9 billboards in Walthamstow. So it's talking to her basically the people that her constituents. And some back and forth. There's a whole backstory to what happened with the billboard, in that at first they didn't approve the first artwork. Then I went to another provider, and then I went through all the work finding the locations, and then they didn't approve it. And then I went back to Clear Channel and gave this changed artwork that was simply, didn't say anything directly about the MP. And it's simply, if you can just see that, I mean, I can't think of anything less offensive than an image of a 9-week living fetus in the womb with the caption 9-week living fetus. And then the website, which led to our campaign, stopstella.com, which is probably the thing that they were most concerned about. But it was the image in itself. As you can see, what Stella Creasy wrote, Twitter, can you get me the CEO of that's Clear Channel UK advertising? How much did you get for this crap? Still, and then she tags in the Met Police. Still think this is just free speech and not harassment of women in Walthamstow? And then she apologises for the graphic images. This again is not, it's not an aborted baby, it's a 9-week living fetus. So she's apologising for an image of a beautiful fetus alive in the womb, one in which that she was currently pregnant at the time. So she was about 24 weeks pregnant at the time. And she's saying that this is crap and a graphic image, and calling out to all of the MPs, and Sadiq Khan and others were standing in solidarity with her and complaining about how awful we were. And so it did blow up in the media. And rather than go more into telling you the story, I believe the next slide we shall go to the video. And this video we made at the end of the campaign, just to document really exactly what happened.
One of the world's biggest advertising companies has apologised to a pregnant London Labour MP who was targeted by anti-abortion campaigners over her views on the issue.
With a warning that it is quite graphic. This poster was put up by anti-abortion campaign group, the Centre for Bioethical Reform UK. After Stella complained, the billboard agency said it will remove it, and it's since been painted over by somebody. And there was also a poster board set up in Walthamstow town centre, which showed an image of Stella next to an aborted fetus and the caption, "Your MP is working hard to make this a human right."
Here's the spokesperson for the organisation responsible for this poster.
We're targeting Stella Creasy because she is the MP who is pushing to repeal the 58 and 59 of the Offences Against the Person Act, which will remove all protections for the unborn child up to 28 weeks.
For the last 6 days, an organisation calling itself the Centre for Bioethical Reform UK has been waging a campaign of intimidation and harassment against myself and, by extension, my constituents in Walthamstow.
where have you taken our property?
You're letting everything else out, and they should be kept to them.
Blocking our volunteers from being able to get in and out of the space. And so what we're going to do is ask the police to move them along so that we can get in and out. And then what we're going to do is our volunteers are just going to walk down to the other side and set up over there. So we'll see if our rights to freedom of speech is protected or not.
It's just these guys need to be able to leave if they want to get out. If you were, say, there you go, come forward like half a metre or so they could all get out, and I'm perfectly happy.
Not the church, not the state. Women must decide their fate.
Isn't this an issue that you should be intervening in at this point?
So it is an issue, but it's the same. Their protest, they are just standing there displaying the images the same way you are.
Protesters are blocking them. They've walked back and forward. They've stalked them, and now the police are intervening and separating the protesters from our volunteers. So we'll see what happens. We're back in Walthamstow, and the council have issued us with a long email saying that we're not allowed to bring back any images of living unborn babies or dead unborn babies, aborted unborn babies. That is down to MP Stella Creasy putting pressure on them. So today our message is that the MP is working hard to shut down freedom of speech.
I don't agree with abortions. I had one myself many, many years ago. You never forget it.
I think abortion is the right of the mother in many respects. So that being said, I don't feel it should be used as a form of birth control.
I think it's wrong. I think it's immoral. I think it shouldn't happen. Every child has a right to live.
But I think that what you're doing is on the streets, you're finding out for yourself that a lot of people are not for it. So,
Wonderful. Thank you.
Carry on the good work.
Thank you so much. Oh. So that was the Stop Teller campaign, and as you can see, a lot of responses there. It did blow up in online, on Twitter. We had hundreds and hundreds of hate emails on our website, through our website, but we had some amazing support on our website as well. We got some donations, and the other thing I forgot to mention is with the billboard. It was, the best that could have happened is that billboard, through her tweet, even though the billboard had been taken down, through Stella's tweet, it reached so many more, hundreds of thousands of people. That's what caused us to be on the BBC News. And we had to pay $0 for that, which was wonderful, because they put the billboard up and they took it down. And so we thank God for that provision, that we didn't have to pay a penny. And so, so
the response of the people on Walthamstow, as you can see, there was those that were up against us, that were trying to block us, and Stella Creasy really pushed that with her tweets and the way she was calling, as you can see in the video, calling the council and the police to do their job. The reason she was angry with the police is because right at the beginning in a Guardian article, the police had said, you know, that these people, CBR UK, were not doing anything harassing by any of their actions or any of their literature, so that no need to shut us down. This is something along those lines, and she was furious with that, so she was really having a go at the police, and that's why she was calling the council to really do her work of shutting us down. And yeah, so the people on the street, we had lots of conversations, we had lots of people who had no idea that the MP stood for this. And so, yeah, we saw minds changed, and this image, yeah, so yeah, we had lots of people sign up, and just the people, the vast majority of people would either see the banner and walk on by or engage with us. And it was just a loud minority, as you can see on the next slide, as you saw so wonderfully. This guy in the middle, our bodies, our right to decide, which is quite ironic, blocking 3 women from showing images of living babies in the womb. Yeah, so these were they were a socialist party, local socialist party, which interestingly enough actually found Stella Creasy too centrist. Yeah. They were more, she wasn't left enough for them, but they were still helping, doing the cover up as she so wanted. And if we go to the next slide, yeah, we invite all police. Every time we do displays, we let the police know and we invite them. And as was on this occasion, every single display, even the ones where after they ripped down our first banner and they took it from us, they confiscated from us, which later in court they admitted was unlawful. Even though, so there were times when we came and we didn't have banners, so we were just handing out leaflets. So even on those occasions, we were just handing out leaflets. The police were there, and the council in the bottom right, that's the council that were there watching us. Every single display, so that was very, very interesting, and it was encouraging. It did make me think of, you know, in Acts when the local authorities, you know, they just wanted to silence the disciples as they fought basically to speak in truth, and we very much had the authorities trying to silence us. The police were amazing, actually. After the first time when they didn't separate the protesters from us, that third time you saw in the video they did, and yeah, they were very much really trying to defend our right as we have to deliver a message and to have free speech. However, it's unfortunate that they didn't stop the council from stealing our banners, but as you'll see, came up in court later on. So yeah, so Stella Creasy, as you can see, she couldn't defend the indefensible position of supporting baby genocide, so she had to attack and discredit us and try and silence us. And yeah, she put out statements like this. The CBR UK are targeting women in Walthamstow, targeting women. They want publicity and to be seen as a legitimate form of protest. We ask people not to engage them or seek to disrupt their protest because this encourages the police to see such activities as equal on both sides of the debate. Then they protect this group as a public order issue. It is not, it is harassment. What to stop this? So she has been declaring, and basically she was being very, this was libel, and we are following that up, against us. She's constantly speaking. And that first point, if you build the evidence case, if you see them, please report them as a form of harassment to the police and Waltham Forest Council by calling 101. If you see them, not if you see them harass anyone, simply by being seen, by CBR UK being seen in Walthamstow, she is saying that that is a form of harassment. And as you can see in this image here, this guy, this was a day actually when we didn't have any banners up. All we were doing was handing out leaflets. I remember because we had a professional photographer come that day, and this guy was reporting us to the police for seeing us, as his beloved MP Stella Creasy had commanded him to do. So this is tyrannical behaviour. This really is. She didn't want. She was criminalising. She was trying to criminalise criticism. And surely, as an MP, as someone in public office who's meant to be serving your people in Walthamstow, surely you're up there for your policies to be criticised publicly and challenged, and for your constituents to be able to see both sides, both the people that agree with you and the people that disagree with you. You know, and it's very, very interesting because a lot of the time when she was on media, one of the first things she would say is, I'm all for freedom of speech. I'm not against freedom of speech. I'd be happy to debate on abortion, and I have in the past. So yeah, she just constantly is saying that she's all for freedom of speech, and then she goes on to say why it needs to be shut down. And as you can see, just for being in her area and challenging her opinion. And so yeah, which gave us wonderful wonderful content for memes. And this was, she went on Politics Live, and the other thing to note is that she refused to go on the media directly with us. So we were invited onto Politics Live, and then when she refused to come on with us, they de-invited us and said that we could, if we wanted, come and record a pre-record to be shown. We didn't in the end, but and then she did the same with Radio 1 when I went on Radio 4, Women's Hour, and so she wouldn't go head to head with us. She spoke with the interviewer, and then I spoke with the interviewer, and I didn't have time to get a clip together for that. But it's just so clear that the interviewer is fully on Stella's side, and just, you know, even from the tone in which she fires questions at me accusingly, and then holding Stella up as this wonderful woman of free speech and women's rights. But yeah, this was a statement that she said on Politics Live, that she was saying that they've blown up the banner. A baby at 9 weeks is like the size of a poppy seed. It's tiny. This is a pregnant woman speaking as well. And yeah, a 9-week fetus is actually 5 centimeters. So yeah, it's a very long poppy seed. And the reality is as well is with billboards, you know, when we see a billboard for McDonald's, I think people know that the 5-foot McDonald's burger that they see is not the same size that they're going to get in the shop. So anyway, moving on to the next meme. Obviously she was crying harassment. She was crying, playing the sexism card, playing the pregnant woman vulnerable victim card, which if anyone who watches Stella Creasy speak, she's far from being a victim. And we wanted to highlight that she in fact was victimizing the unborn child. And so this meme shows that no one cried harassment when the hashtags, which were real hashtags, was stop Corbyn, stop Abbott, stop May, stop Boris, but apparently stop Stella is harassment. And then this one of the other memes that we put out. And these are the wonderful volunteers that, as you can see, were stalked, they were harassed. That's why the police did split up the protesters from literally imposing upon their personal space. And so that kind of was the end of that campaign officially. We then moved very quickly into the election that happened. And just to make the point is that, you know, me and my colleague were really praying that, I'm just going to be honest, that she wouldn't get re-elected, that the constituents would see what she's doing for the unborn child and they wouldn't vote for her. Because surely how can anyone vote for someone who supports genocide and is pushing for genocide? However, she did get re-elected, and it's just a reminder that, you know, the victories of the Lord, when we're fighting in the Lord's battles, are not always how we would necessarily, or how the world would think they look. Sometimes a victory comes out later. And I mean, even just look at the biggest victory of all time, the victory of Jesus Christ dying on the cross for us. You know, disciples at the time must have thought, what? How did you let this happen? You know, you're meant to be leading us, you're meant to be, and you've died in such a humiliating way. And then we know, you know, as time went on, as our Lord Jesus was resurrected, and that was his method of salvation, of paying the price for our sins to set us free, that we may live eternally with him. And what would have looked like such a defeat on the cross turned out to be the biggest victory of all time. And we thank God, and I do get encouraged by that, because these things, when we're challenging principalities and powers, yes, sometimes we may see immediate victories and other times we don't. And I'm very inspired by the work of Christian Concern as well, and Christian Legal Centre, who will fight these laws. They will fight these where for Christians and people, for freedoms, where people, maybe nurses, have lost their jobs for wearing a chain with a cross on, or for praying for someone. They will fight these cases. Sometimes they'll lose them, but they know that we've still getting the message out, and we're still holding power to account. And and then the worst, even if they lose loads of money for it, they know the importance of the fight. And so then we went on to, this was with Christian Concern, the Christian Legal Centre. They took, so Christian Hacking, as you can see his face in the bottom right hand corner, he received a community protection notice which literally banned him indefinitely from showing images of living and aborted babies, basically fetuses, in Walthamstow, in the whole of Waltham Forest, actually. It was large images. And so when you saw that we had different banners, that was us testing it. We were testing, okay, will they ban us with just 2 post-abortive women saying, I've had an abortion, ask me about it? And no, they didn't. Then the next week we brought along the images of just the living babies. And actually at that point they didn't. And then we brought along the aborted babies. At that point, is when the council issued myself, because Christian wasn't coming along anymore, he issued me with a community protection warning. However, I never got the notice. So legally speaking, I can still go and hold up these images. But we wanted to, fight this in the court, because it was an outrageous for free speech that, he should be banned from holding images of even living babies in an area. And so we did appeal that. Unfortunately, just go back to that previous one. Unfortunately, we didn't win. But we are seeking a judicial review. So that's where we're at. And that's where we found out that, that the council admitted that what they did was unlawful, to take our banner from us. And so, watch this space, follow us on social media to get the latest and the updates on that. And so where are we at now? Basically, the next slide, there was a pro-life victory. So in July of this year, the domestic abuse bill, which Stella and others were pushing for to try and bring in the decriminalisation of abortion in the UK, they were adding amendments to do it undercover, very deceitfully, as they did with Northern Ireland, to bring it in through the domestic abuse bill. And we thank God that it didn't go through. And that was, it was a pro-life victory. And we really thank God for that. So that's where we're at. We know that they're going to continue in different ways, so we mustn't sleep or be passive. And we're not trying to stop. Obviously, we're not trying to just stop them from gaining ground and gaining more babies' lives. We want to totally eradicate the child sacrifice in our nation, basically, and see the right to life of the unborn child protected. And this is the current real live issue at the moment, is the next slide, with the pills. So the COVID-19 where there was all sorts of emergency laws happening, and they had rights to just pass laws just like that. One of the things that the abortion industry took advantage of is that they wanted, for these poor women that can't go into their clinics to have abortions because they're locked down at home, they wanted pills by post. And that was even a very, very interesting way that happened, in that it was kind of announced on the government website that it was being legalized for the pills at home, and then it was retracted. And Matt Hancock said in Parliament that, no, we're not going to be doing this. And then he U-turned. So there was a lot going on behind the scenes with the abortion lobby. And and as you can see, this is the fruits of it now, where we are, May, just a few months in, and the police probe death of unborn baby after woman has illegal abortion by post at 28 weeks. There's no way of ensuring, because these pills are meant to be taken only up to 10 weeks, and there's been multiple stories of women have taken it after that gestation, have ended up in hospital. So, and we're also now making a woman's home the abortion clinic. We're making a woman's toilet for disposing of these babies' bodies, and this is something that needs to be fought. And Christian Concern, God bless them, are also have done a judicial review into the government, the legality of them being able to do this, and that is currently it didn't pass, but they're currently seeking appeal on that as well. So watch this space as well for that. So that is where we're at. The fight is still on. It is a real battlefield, and I thank you all for your prayers, for the texts of encouragement that some of you gave me during this battle last year, this Stop Stella campaign, and we continue to hold, as our video said, hold to account those who are promoting the killing of babies in the womb, and also those who should be speaking out and are not. We're going to be holding up to account some of those as well. And so, if we go to the next slide, just to wrap up, how can you get involved? I know there are numbers amongst you who are already donating towards our work, and we do need finances. We do need more finances to support this work. Each year, it's literally like we've only got money enough to keep going for 3 months. We get that report every few months. Yes, we've got enough money to go to September. Yes, we've got, and God does provide, but we really do need those that can give financially, and if possible by direct debit monthly, so that we can plan for such campaigns. God amazingly, provided for that whole Stop Stella campaign to be funded, and yet we want to be able to do other campaigns like it. So if you can donate, that would be absolutely wonderful. We can all share the facts, follow us on social media, share the images, and we can all something else you can do is join a team. We have teams going out doing these displays. These displays would have not been possible without those local in Walthamstow joining us, all of our volunteers that held the banners. And if you want training as well, go to our website and you go to the Train With Us, Get Involved page. You can see, and you can equip yourself to be able to make the case for life. Whatever situation you are in, at work, with your friends, with your family, you can make a clear case for life. And Aisling Goodison, our training leader, will be able to take you through that on our videos online. So I want to thank you so much for this platform again and this opportunity. And without saying also, we need your prayers as well. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Ruth, that was amazing. That story there is so powerful, and we're going to definitely share this video far and wide as far as possible. Guys, I just want to notify you that also we have an article, a blog by Ruth, which you can find at www.restorecitizenship.org/blog/protecting the unborn child. So take a look at that piece by Ruth. Okay, guys, do we have any questions? Fred,
there weren't any questions posted. So guys, if you do, I would encourage having a quick think and putting some questions down, because I think one of the key things is that Ruth is really on the front line and it's not just on the front line in terms of on the street. She's also on the in terms of campaigning, but she's also on the front line in terms of confronting the media as much as the politicians. And Ruth, that's the other thing I just wanted to flag as a question for you, because you sort of touched on it, but I would like you to give some sort of insight of what it's like dealing with the media, because this isn't just about targeting Stella, it's about dealing with the media who are also biased.
Yeah, it's hard. The media, particularly the mainstream media, I think the BBC, very, very, very typically, liberal, support abortion, see it as if it's a women's rights issue. And so they've already got this caricature of us as if we're, bigots. And so when you can't, you can literally feel, you can feel the opposition. But I just thank God, just certain scriptures just encourage me, particularly one, anytime I'm in the media, the one that always encourages me is Psalm 25, where it says, no one whose hope is in you will ever be put to shame, that they will be put to shame who are treacherous without excuse. And my hope is in the Lord. My hope is not in my skills.
I completely, I get that. I guess one of the things I'm trying to look for is, for example, what would you, because you mentioned specifically in the Stop Stella campaign that there were times when you refused to do an interview. And there were times when you sort of would do an interview. What goes on in the team when they're discussing whether or not to do an interview or not? What's the sort of thinking around that? It's just to give, it's like a bit like a fly on the wall, just to give people an idea of what you guys are thinking about when you're dealing with the media in that way.
Okay, yeah. I mean, typically the natural reaction is to, well, we got an invite, quick, go. Yeah, you do everything. And I learned quite early through, it was actually Andrea Williams from Christian Concern. And she said, don't take every offer, don't take every interview. Because we can jump and we can, even not be ready and take something without preparing and stuff like that. And so very early on, not directly with this campaign, but there was a time where it was Sunday Morning Live, and it was with the buffer zones. So they were talking about buffer zones outside abortion clinics, and they were ringing up every pro-life. They were trying to get someone to speak from a pro-life perspective. And the thing is we wanted to have someone who had gone to an abortion clinic and changed their mind and their baby was saved, because that's a powerful story and it shows the fruit of us being at the clinics, not even us, as an organization called Good Counsel Network. But they refused to give this woman a platform because and so we spoke together as a pro-life organizations and we said, right, don't take it. If they can't get a person to speak, they'll have to come by terms. And it was a very, so I got the call as well, like, can you come on and speak? And I think I said yes, because I hadn't got the memo from the others. And then when I got the memo, I ran back and said, actually, no, I won't come on unless you also bring on this mother whose baby was saved. And they said, okay. And so so then what happened is they didn't want me then, because they weren't going to bring this woman on. The 9th hour, the 11th hour, at the last minute, late at night, they rang me back and said, can you come? We're bringing this woman on. And so, and it was an example of us working together and not bowing to their demands, like not being desperate to have, but actually, no, we're making our own demands, really. And we've seen that played out in a couple of other times as well. But yeah, we refused to go on that politics one. We didn't want to run and jump and go on that one.
And I know I've got some questions lined up now, but we've talked about this a fair bit, about sort of media and communications. And I think one thing that was really important that you said in your presentation was about really getting the messaging right. And for a number of reasons for that. I think one is the fact that you're dealing with authority figures who live within the world of a very controlled way of speaking, and they are they will look, not only are they really controlled, but they will also looking that way on the legal matters in order to undermine your messaging.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think you're such an important asset to CBR UK, because you understand that. So in terms of the messaging specifically, and that relates to messaging on both on your banners as well as on the web, in your social media, what do you think was the key thing or the key rules, if in a sense, around messaging that to address principalities and powers? That you have to be mindful of and a bit wary of.
Okay. Yeah, it was just testing it. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, let's use this as a message. Yeah, we'll go with that. It went through so many people. You know, we speak to lawyers, we speak to, we just speak to different people, and we wanted it to be. We've got one member of the team who's just really good, so good and talented in coming up with catchy messages. So yeah, it wasn't something that we just suddenly thought of. It took time. It took time until we got to something that we were happy with, and it was truthful. It couldn't be said that it was just a truthful message, and basically it was the image that was bringing the message along, as so much of our work. And yeah, we're very careful with our website, with everything. And she still tried to twist it, but as you said, if they could in any way get asked for libel or slander, they would, because they've got the money, they've got the lawyers. But they couldn't, and so it became a Twitter battle. This one became a Twitter battle. But yeah, messages is so important, so important. Even to the fact of using the word abortion. We're actually going through a season where we're going to actually stop using their euphemisms, because we find ourselves using their euphemisms, and actually, well, what is abortion? If I said, oh, I had an abortion, or did you know what I mean, or we're talking about going for abortion, actually no, we're talking about babies being killed. And if we just keep speaking the truth of that, you know, babies being killed, eventually, as alongside the images, I think we're in a season where we need to start using truthful language. And so I'd love to send you that memo when we've got it.
Yeah, I think we've talked. Sorry, go ahead, P.
Yeah, Ruth, I'm glad you said that, actually, because that's a common tactic that it's kind of pitfall I see us falling into all the time. You know, they give us the words, they give us the language. Doing so, they're telling us how to understand what's taking place. You know? And so we need to always be careful about our language to bring the truth. You know. So back to you, Fred, and we have some other questions listed.
Yeah, I was just going to go into that. So I was just going to mention on top of that, Ruth, I mean, we've done a lot of work in terms of on the language on the website, and making sure that our tone is correct, making sure that the way we come across to the right audiences that we're speaking to is correct. But it feels like as well, and we have done some of that work about a needing to develop a tone and a voice for authority specifically. It's like recognizing that group of stakeholders are different from the others. Whether, you know, when you're dealing with women who've gone through abortion, which is going to end up with my next question, there's a way to speak to them about this message, and then when it's media, there's a way to speak to them, and then it's with authorities, there's a way to address them, and then there's that broader public message as well, which is so important. I've got a question here from Josh here.
Can I just say one more thing?
Go ahead.
I think it's important to also be aware of, you know, what season, what time are we in as well, because you can start with one type of, because when we started, it was very much, you know, image of an aborted baby, and then the caption was choice ? So we're using their language. It's a time where you have to use their language, because you can't just come straight in with kind of truthful language sometimes, because people are so used to the language that we use anyway. So we had to, in the season that we've been in, these last, you know, 10 or so years, we had to use their language, but then show the reality of what it is. But now I think we're in a season where no, actually, it's not. We can't. We have to now change the language, and I guess that's wisdom as well.
Exactly.
In any issue.
I think we've got a question here from Joker. She says, "Can you speak about what support that you give to women who change their mind about abortion?"
Support. So at the moment, actually, we're currently launching something called Hope Pregnancy, and it will be a pregnancy place where women can go who consider an abortion, and it will be a lot of referring to other organizations as well. So so our role is very much educational, and individuals within obviously will help where we can, but we kind of have to be aware of what we're doing, because there are crisis pregnancy centers out there. There are, you know, organizations that are supporting stuff, and we do actually believe that the church, the ecclesia, I know you guys with your words.
I'm messing.
Can't say church in front of Fred. No, joking. We believe that the church is the answer, because to that, in terms of practical help, in terms of bringing these women into the family, you know, I experienced that myself as a single mom. You know, my church was my family, and the way they accepted me and the support. You know, at the end of the day, in this nation, apart from refugees or people who are not legal here, there is government support in terms of finances and stuff like that. So we thank God that support is there, but it's more of the practical, the friendship stuff, and that they need. And I think that the church of God, the ecclesia, is the place where that is best set. And so us as an organization will more refer people, we'll speak the truth, we'll educate. Where individuals want to help, they do. But I think the church is the place.
We've got another interesting question as well from a guest. What would you say to someone that desires to support CBR with campaigns, but was concerned about the impact on their job, and in brackets, for instance, the NHS?
Donate.
That could be one way. I think there's going to be greater pressure. There is already pressure on the NHS within that whole line of what is considered a service regarding abortions. But
okay, hold on. In this instance, NHS. It's funny because, but if you got me at the beginning when I just come into this work, I would have been like, everyone, you have to speak out. It doesn't matter if you lose your job. Like, you have to. That would have been my attitude. And as I've become a bit more mature and understood that, you know, everybody kind of speaks in their own way, I've understood that actually, not everyone has to come to a display. I used to think everyone should, but you know, we do need people in every area, you know, every influential area of society. So, you know, it's wonderful that we have people in the NHS, and I mean, where you have opportunity, speak truth to colleagues, to managers, to because midwives, even, you know, the head of midwives was actually at one point was the same person, was also on the board of BPAS, the biggest abortion industry. So there's a lot of they're infiltrating influential positions. So I would love to see Daniel's, you know, risen up within the NHS with influential positions that are making policies. So I would just encourage you wherever you're able to influence where you are. But in terms of supporting CBR with our campaigns, we desperately need money. I'm going straight.
No, that's the reality.
We have to come out and do this, but you know, by you making us financially free to be able to do this, it's just the same as standing with us. It's just the same.
Okay, and we've got a question from P, which I'm going to add a link into because I know it sort of helps from your website. P says, is there a particular strategy aimed at teenagers? Are we educating young girls early enough? I'll put the link into the site because I know we have the schools one section.
So at the moment we do have the schools presentation, just due to the different things we do. We haven't really taken off. But it is kind of a standalone package that if people want to go into schools, if maybe one of you feel that would be, you'd love to do that. And for younger children, it doesn't even talk about abortion. It just talks about the value of every human being. It talks about the development of the child in the womb. So, you know, no one can really be against that. and it can come in and under the anti-bullying thing, that every single life is unique and precious, and then we just take them through that. So there's that one for primary school children, and then the other one I believe is for kind of 14 plus, which does now go into abortion. So we do have these packages online, and if that's something you're interested in, we can make that available to you to use.
I think certainly, like on the ground, for example, with what's coming up with Josh, he's got to be tackling abortion as a topic within RSC, and there's an opportunity for him to direct any kids who are interested into that investigation, and he's doing his own stuff as well. But I think he's drawing a number of students on those topics. They're curious anyway, and they're interested to hear the other side of the conversation. And he's finding that, and so often it's like, after a little bit of a debate in the classroom, outside the classroom they're still asking questions. And I think that's where it's quite a powerful tool, if it's available, anything online for him to access and share.
And Josh, I was going to say, actually, Josh, if you're still here, if you go to our website, I can give your dad the link. There is the Train With Us and the apologetics. There's one particular session that I would recommend you watch, and it just gives you the apologetics of defending life. It's probably it's less than half an hour long. So I'll send you the link to that. That will really help equip you.
I've just put the train link in there for you.
Wonderful, yeah, and that's good for everyone. It's not just for people on the street. There's one particular apologetics which is very equipped to educate. The course is called, and it also helps how to speak with. There's another session that helps with how to speak to women who've been through abortion or considering abortion as well. They're very powerful, very useful tools. I would encourage everyone to watch.
I've got one more question here. Are there medical doctors that have spoken out from the NHS that can be used to support other employees? Quite a broad question.
I know there was a case of nurses. I think it was up in Scotland. There were Catholic nurses who this is specifically to do with conscience clause, because they were trying to get midwives to be involved with abortion, and they wanted to opt out. So there was a case on that. So these nurses spoke out. Medical doctors, I can't think of any that come to head, but if I do, I can pass that to Fred, and he can pass that to whoever this guest user is.
Yeah, I mean, usually there's some sort of Christian doctors union, I would imagine. There's a Christian medical fellowship. I wonder if that's got anything.
Yes, of course. Thanks, Fred. Yeah, the Christian Medical Fellowship are wonderful. Check them out. CMF, Christian Medical Fellowship,